Hey, I'm Dylan the Villain, and you're watching the Creepy Villain MMA Show. I'm Dylan the Villain, and my creepy uncle isn't here right now. He's too busy picking one of his friends up at the airport, but here he is. Yeah, he's one sexy man. Yeah. But, anyways, we're here to talk MMA news. I'll start off by saying that both of us, we're not fighters, we're not experts, but we love the sport of MMA, and we look up the news every single day. I guarantee you he'd say the same thing. So, but anyways, here's the MMA news I'll hook you up with. Start off, we just found out today that Jason Mayhem Miller and Michael the Count Bisping will be coaching season 14 of the Ultimate Fighter next season. So I think that'll be very interesting. Both guys are very funny. Bisping, very arrogant guy. Nobody really likes him, but I feel like he could make the show a lot more funnier. And Jason Mayhem Miller, he's on former shows like Bully Beatdown. I thought he was fantastic on that. But it should be a good show. I'm not sure if that's the right quality guys, but it'll make the show funny. But anyways, this week on the Ultimate Fighter, Team Lesnar versus Team Dos Santos, we had Zach Davis versus Chuck O'Neal. It was a rematch. Zach Davis actually won the first fight via triangle quick stoppage. But they got the rematch, and Chuck O'Neal won a fantastic war against him. He ended up just hit him with a shitload of shots and good combos. And at the end of the fight, Chuck won via decision. And now Zach Davis, his eye got just screwed up bad, and now he's unlikely to fight ever again. So he's in the semifinals, and the other fight was Tony Ferguson versus Ryan McGavery. Tony Ferguson, he's got huge ears, but he won the fight quickly. He won his first fight actually quickly, but he stopped him fast. So now it'll be Chuck O'Neal versus Tony Ferguson. The winner goes to the Ultimate Fighter finale. So I think that's interesting. To be honest, after seeing the recent events, how Tony was making fun of another guy because of his son, it was totally rude of him. So I'm picking the wild man, my boy Chuck O'Neal, to go make it to the finals. And the other semifinal fight is Chris Cope versus Ramsey, and I think Ramsey will win that one. So yeah, there's your Ultimate Fighter news. And now for this week on this weekend, you got a huge card, UFC 130, and I'll start off with my picks, and starting off and on the fights on Facebook is Renan Barrow versus Cole Escovedo. I'm gonna have to go with Barrow on that. Barrow is a up-and-comer in the 135-pound division. He's beaten guys like Chris Carrasco via rear naked choke. So I'm going to go with Barrow. And the second fight, Michael McDonald versus Chris Carrasco. Both guys are coming off wins via decision in the UFC. And I'm going to have to go with Michael McDonald on that. I see him as the more well-rounded striker and just overall better MMA game. And the last fight on Facebook is big Gleason Tebow, who's cutting a huge amount of weight to make 155, will face Rafael Oliveira on short notice. Oliveira has won against John Gunderson in the UFC. Tebow's has wins over Kyle Uno, Kurt Pellegrino via split decision, Jeremy Stevens via unanimous decision, and Rich Clemente. I'm going to have to go on Tebow, basically, because he's got way more experience, and he's a huge Brazilian out of ATT, so I'm pretty jacked about that. And now on the fights on Spike TV, you got the Ultimate Fighter Season 3 winner, Kendall the Spider Grove, versus Tim Boach. And I'm going to have to go with Tim Boach because Tim Boach is dropping down from 205 to 185. That's a huge cut, so I think he'll have the power advantage. He's recently coming off a loss to Phil Davis, who's a great wrestler, so I think he's got experience with the best. And Kendall Grove hasn't really improved his overall MMA game since coming out of the Ultimate Fighter, only defeating Alan Belcher via Darce choke is his really big win. He's coming off a loss over highly touted Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner Damian Maia. So I think that should be a great fight on Spike TV. The next fight is something I was actually thinking that this should be on the main card, but you got big Demetrius Johnson versus Miguel Angel Torres, former WEC bantamweight champion, and the mullet man. He's got the hair going, and I'm gonna have to go with Miguel Angel Torres on this one, or as my creepy uncle calls it, Miguel Angel Torres. He's coming off huge victories over Takeya Mizugaki and Charlie Valencia, and his most recent via unanimous decision was Antonio Banuelos. So I think my uncle told me that his overall striking is just fantastic and his ground game is just excellent, and it's just overall game. But Demetrius Johnson, boy, he's a big guy. He's coming off a win over Kid Yamamoto via unanimous decision, and that fight was where Kid Yamamoto was supposed to be the big guy coming in, and Demetrius stopped him. And now Demetrius is ranked number 8 on some rankings like MMA Weekly, and so it should be a great fight. So, and then now on the pay-per-view, first fight, you got former number 1 contender in the welterweight division, Thiago Pitbull Alves versus Rick the Horror Story. Alves, who's coming off huge win in his comeback trail over John Howard via unanimous decision, where he just leg kicked the crap out of him, and his conditioning looked real good since he's been on the Dolce diet. He just needs to make weight this time, but he's got huge wins over former welterweight champ Matt Hughes, Carl Parisian, and has wins over Koscheck and Chris Lytle, and has been in the cage with GSP. I know he got taken down, but he's when he's in there with the best, it's getting him better. And Rick the Horror Story, he's a dark horse in this division. He's got wins over Johnny Hendricks, Brian Foster, Nico Shipshak, Dustin Hazlett, and he's just on a roll, 5-fight win streak, so it should be very interesting. I'm going to have to go with Thiago Alves via superiority of just overall technique and game. The next fight is Brian Stan, the former Marine, fighting the former Sengoku middleweight champ, Jorge Santiago. Stan's coming off wins over Chris the Crippler Lieben via TKO and Steve the Robot Cantwell. Jorge Santiago is coming off wins over Sean Salmon and Trevor Perangli on the same night. And I'm going to have to go with Jorge Santiago. I think his Muay Thai is way better, and if he gets a clinch on him or he does his leg kicks, it's going to be a hard time. He's got to watch out for Brian Stan's punching power or possibly his takedowns, because he could steal rounds that way, as you know it. So I'm going to have to go with Jorge on that one. Next fight is kind of a strange fight to be on the main card, but you got the tallest fighter in the UFC, Stefan the Skyscraper Struve versus Travis Brownie. Struve's coming off wins over Christian Markgraf and Paul Buentello. And you got Travis Brownie, who's coming off wins over James McSweeney, sucks, and Cheek Congo, via draw, so that was a controversial fight. But I'm gonna have to go with Stefan Skyscraper Struve. Jeez. Just to note that lowkick.com said that Stefan Skyscraper Struve was gonna be the UFC champ in 5 years. It's bullshit, but whatever. He could prove me wrong. I hope he does, but yeah, he's just a real skinny guy, and looks like he should be fighting at middleweight. But I'm gonna have to go with Stefan Struve on this one. I think his game and his long legs will help him, and his long reach will help him win the fight against Travis Brownie. In the co-main event, a lot of people think this fight should be the main event, since Gray Maynard and Frankie Edgar had to pull out. But you got former UFC heavyweight champ Frank Mir taking on Big Country, the Ultimate Fighter Season 10 winner Rory Nelson. Mir's coming off a huge win over Mirko Krokop, but it was probably the boringest fight I've ever seen in my entire life, till the knockout, and then that was devastating. He's also got a huge win, I thought, over Czech Congo, and Big Nog, where he finished Nog for the first time ever. It was the first time Nog had ever been finished, and he's also got a big submission win over former heavyweight champ Brock Lesnar. Yeah, that was a garbage fight. Lesnar should have won. Don't hate. Lesnar's the fucking man. And then Nelson's got huge wins over Brendan Schaub, who's highly touted, and Stefan Skyscraper Struve, both of them by knockout. And he's got coming off a loss over #1 contender Junior Dos Santos. But that fight, it just showed his great display of chin, and it should be a great fight. I think it will be a fight of the night performance. I'm gonna have to go with Mir on this via decision, because I think the takedowns will make a difference in this one. And in the main event of UFC 130, you got Quinton Rampage Jackson, former light heavyweight champ, taking on Matt the Hammer Hamill. Quinton Rampage Jackson is coming off actually a loss to Rashad Evans, but that fight was just getting good. But he has wins over Lyoto Machida, Vanderlei Silva, former light heavyweight champ Chuck Liddell, Keith Jardine, and Dan Henderson. So I think it will be a great fight. And Hamill's coming off huge victories over Ortiz, Jardine, Tim Bosch, and he's even has a win over Johnny Bones Jones, the UFC light heavyweight champ. But that was very controversial. He was disqualified because Jones did an illegal elbow to Matt Hamill's face. But Matt Hamill's also got a huge leg kick over Quinton Rampage Jackson. Or Matt Hamill's got a huge high kick over Mark Muniz where he beat him. But I think Rampage is going to win this one. I think Rampage's overall striking is way better. I know he's one-dimensional, but that one dimension is really freaking good. He's knocked out huge guys lately, and I know my creepy uncle, who's not here, would pick Matt Hamill because he thinks that Matt Hamill's wrestling is going to take down Rampage, and he's going to win the fight. He thinks Rampage is going to gas out, and Rampage is not really willing to, get back in there. He's kind of lost his desire, but so he's going to pick Hamill on that one. And you never can worry about Rampage like throwing kicks or checking leg kicks, Forrest. But yeah. So that's your UFC 130 card. It's going to be looking good. The next fights in these months are going to be freaking great. Now it's time to Affliction. Not tap out, Affliction. I'm going to say the biggest fight I'm most excited for is obviously the main event. Rampage versus Hamill. I think it's going to be a great fight. Alright guys, I'll have to let you go. Come check us out. Write a comment, alright, about this video. See if you like it. Show it to all your friends. We'll be here next week to discuss the fights and the upcoming fights and UFC news. I'll see you later. Peace out. I love Clay Guida.